Good morning and welcome everyone to another installment of In the Know-Yo Live. Today we are going to be going deep on everybody's favorite subject, AI, and how it is being put to great work on the employee benefit space, and specifically around how brokerages and agencies are thinking about AI, are evaluating, are using it, where they're seeing success, where they're optimistic, where they're nervous. And it's one of the most important technical transitions of our lifetime that we're all living through. And so in the employee benefit space, I think we can all, everyone who's joining here today who lives and works in this space every day knows that there's no shortage of work to do ahead in service of helping people get access to benefits and understand them and use them. And I've invited two of my favorite people to chop wood on this subject together today, Greg Attori, CEO of Bennie, and Michael Kinsman from SPG, who are really forward-thinking, technologically oriented, creative experts in this space. And so we're going to have a fun conversation today talking about how agencies are changing, how AI is, how they're thinking about AI, how they're actually using it every day today, and, and talk about the future of it. So this is going to be a casual conversation. Before we jump in, there are a few housekeeping items for everyone. So we're going to have dedicated time for Q&A at the end of our discussion today, but there are, as always, if you've been here before, there are several ways to engage with us throughout the conversation. So first, there's a chat feature at the bottom of your screen. You can leave comments for the whole group to see. This is going to include your first name only, so feel free to ask, spicy questions. Second, if you want to submit questions in our Q&A box, you can do that as well. These will be anonymous questions, and they're going to come just to our team behind the scenes, and I'll fold these into the discussion as we go. And finally, drop some emojis. If you're liking what you're hearing or you want to hear more, let us know. Give Greg and Michael a little feedback on the discussion. The more hot takes, the better. So welcome to both of you. And maybe just a quick start, I'd like to ask Greg, if you could just introduce yourself a little bit for the group and why this is a topic that you're so passionate about.
Sure. Thank you, Shannon. And hello, everyone. My name is Greg. As Shannon mentioned, I'm the COO at Bennie. We are a brokerage, and we also operate a homegrown technology and platform for both our HR admin customers and their employees. I've been in the brokerage space my entire career. I started working at some of the largest firms out there, supporting some of the largest employers out there. And over the course of my career have had the chance to work with employers of all different sizes. And at Bennie, we support customers from 2 up to several thousand employees. And ultimately, my job is to deliver our services, give our teams the resources and the support that they need, and ultimately drive customer satisfaction and retention. I also have responsibility for efficiency of our brokerage. And so, as I'm sure you'd expect, that's why I'm here. That's why we're talking about AI today. It's a constant balance trying to figure out how we balance efficiency against customer satisfaction. And so we'll talk about some of the ways that we're trying to do that at Bennie. So again, Shannon, thank you for including me in this, and thanks to the entire Know-Yo team.
Thanks for being with us. All right, Michael, you're up next.
Hey, thanks, Shannon. Appreciate the time. So Michael Kinsman, president of SPG Ancillary Benefits. SPG is a wholesale company and has over 30 different companies within it. Me and my business partner, Justin Salter, have employee benefits alternative distribution. And what I am focused on is an ancillary benefits general agency. So ancillary benefits defined as dental, vision, life, disability, supplemental health, and also some other point solutions or other solutions. Our value prop really is we've got to be solving problems, whether they're right in front of us or we unearth them, and creating better experience. If we're not doing that, then it's difficult to work with partners. So we've got to be able to focus on that, and appreciate your time, and looking forward to a good conversation.
Amazing. Well, let's jump right in with, I think, the question that's on everyone's mind, which is, there is a ton of talk about AI and how quickly it can be deployed and how quickly it can be built and used. I'd love to hear from each of you where you are actually seeing the greatest need or opportunity for AI in your specific companies right now.
Greg, you want to roll with it, or you want me to go? What are you thinking?
Why don't you kick us off, Michael?
Okay, cool. So with AI, I mean, I would just say I'm always continually optimistic, but also curious around it. So, and we also have to have like the right parameters around it, like really looking and diving in and making sure that it makes sense from legally, but also from an IT perspective, that it's going to fit within our ongoing and overall ecosystem. But what I'm really excited about is what it could do from an administrative perspective, and allow our team to, what I would say, buy time back to be more consultative around products. Not saying that we aren't consultative, yet that if you look at, and I would even say, I think there was around 100 people that signed up for this for this webinar or this fireside chat. I don't think of this as just 1 hour. I think of it as 100 hours. So that time is valuable. So if we have 100 people on this call, that's 1 hour. That's times 100 hours. So if I look at our administrative staff or our team and everyone within that ecosystem, how can we buy back 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes on a daily basis, or even if we looked at it from a weekly basis, and all of that time compounds. And then it can allow us to be a little bit more curious or dive into that consultative piece, because the employee benefits landscape has changed so much since I've been in it 15 plus years. And what really a broker or consultant has to be a master of, and knowing everything from technology to, even on top of that, eligibility administration, new products that come out, medical, dental, vision, point solutions, and whatnot. So there's been a lot of focus on these specialty practices, especially kind of for a pitch for an ancillary benefits general agency, is focusing on those products that may only get 10% of your time on a daily basis, which is 100% of our time. But can we use that 100% of the time to focus on diving deeper to understand the products, what is changing by carrier partner to carrier partner? That's what I'm really optimistic and excited about, what AI can bring to the table.
And I would add to that as well. I share the optimism and I share the excitement. It has never been easier to access all of the tools that are out there that have been developed that are driven by some type of AI solution under the surface, whether that's software that you're already contracted with at your agency that has now embedded some type of AI to help you use that software better, or software that's been developed and is still kind of experimental in nature, but you can see how it can be applied to various processes that you have. So even though it's never been easier to access these tools and work AI into your processes in some capacity, I would also bet that it's never been harder to figure out how to specifically operationalize each of those tools for the specific use case that you're trying to solve for, and really how to make sense of what's out there. You've got so many smart career insurance professionals who have a wealth of knowledge in their brains, who now effectively have to retrain themselves on how to interact with tools and how to approach the work that they do to support customers, whether you're interacting with a carrier or whether you're interacting with a customer or building a deliverable, for example. The tools are out there to help you do that more efficiently, but if you have not been used to using AI or technology in the past, you effectively have to retrain the way your brain thinks about approaching those problems. And so it's a challenge, and it's an opportunity for growth for anybody in this industry. And it doesn't mean it's going to come automatically, but it is, again, the exciting thing is that the opportunities are there at our fingertips to do that for the person who is excited to jump into that and start dabbling and figuring out how to make those tools work to your advantage.
You both mentioned how much new technology is out there, not just AI, not just things that have come out in the last couple of years, but the role of the broker, the role of the general agent, wholesale brokers is really, really evolving as there are more HRIS platforms, payroll platforms than ever, more point solutions. There's more benefits offerings, frankly, for employers to choose from. I would love to, and you both do this very well, both of your organizations do this very well, take a really fresh way of thinking about things using technology, not just to make your job slightly more efficient, but really to enable a much higher level of service for your customers. And Greg, maybe we could start with you. I'd love for you to just share how Bennie has built technology into your core and where you see that giving a lift in your customer's experience.
Sure. So from day one at Bennie, we knew we were going to be a benefits services company. We knew we were going to be a brokerage. And we were trying to, the initial view of what the platform and what the app could look like took a handful of different forms. But at the end of the day, what we decided to build was a platform that's effectively a data aggregation layer that's pulling in data from a lot of different sources and then making it usable to the different user groups that have to use it, whether you're a broker, whether you're an HR administrator, or whether you're an employee, the individual who has to live with your employer's decisions, right? We wanted to basically recognize the fact that there is so much benefits data that's out there, that's flying around, that's held in different systems. And if you can harness that data and package it up the right way for each of the user groups, but still enabling each user group to be operating from the same set of source data, that you could unlock all kinds of possibilities that have never been available before. And so that's what we've built at Bennie, and that's how we view really everything that we do is through the lens of how do we enable each of these user groups to use that data most effectively. In our early years, we worked on building the platform and getting all the data into that one place. Now we're working on taking it a step further and leveraging AI to help us better make sense of that data and help our team arrive at the insights that they need to arrive at to best serve our customers. So working with all of the data and figuring out to harness it, that's been at our core from day one. And now, again, the really exciting thing is seeing how many tools are out there that enable us to better analyze it or better work with it or better reshape it so that it can achieve our needs and our customers' needs.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think the Bennie app in particular is something that's really, really stand out as a differentiating, because it serves not just the employer and the HR team that's working with you every day to think about their benefits package, but it also helps employees directly to make sense of their benefits and be able to use it more effectively, which just builds their trust in what they've got access to and their trust in you as their partner behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Michael, would you share a little bit about, you all have taken, I think, a pretty proactive approach on leaning into all the new technology that's out there and all the new systems that employers and brokers are using. What can you share with this group your sauce there?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Greg said, what Bennie's doing is like we're trying to really try to create the best collaborative experience between your clients. When I see from a general agency perspective is that we don't just have one client, which is the broker consultant. We have two clients that we need to help manage in collaboration, which is the broker partnership, but then also the client that is mutually being worked on between that broker and consultant and us. So trying to create a holistic collaborative experience and using AI to really try to fix some of those, maybe not fix or aid. I wouldn't say we're just coming in saying we know everything, because within a collaborative experience, you're learning from that broker or consultant or that client's past experience or what's worked well and what hasn't, and also what we've done so we can create a molded model to create the best process possible. I mean, I always try to like to say customizable within reason. So customizing it based on partnerships. So AI would help us leverage, Shannon, the ability to look at some of those day-to-day tasks to make sure that that business is I would say that data or that information is updated. I'll use an example is after a sold case is warehousing information, making sure you have the most updated information as possible, but then also inputting it into accounting systems or having the right data so that you can pull holistic benchmarking off of your in-force client business. One of the biggest questions that we get or broker partners get is, oh, can we get benchmarking data on a certain SIC code or an industry or a certain region or markets, whether that may be plan design or what they're using for technology. That information, unless it's manually updated within certain systems internally, is very difficult to keep like on a day-to-day basis and make sure that it's updated and make sure that it's consistent. So that's where I see AI helping be able to update that information and also warehousing data over time to be able to look at. I'll give a key example on like larger clients. Sometimes they may move to a carrier partner and experience is only available for that incumbent carrier partner. Looking back at information on who they had maybe 4 years ago or 8 years ago will be helpful. It's not only just because the experience may not be that credible over time, but if you have the plan designs, you have the policy numbers, you have the history on how class codes changed, how certain things were made up. All of that information is helpful, and I see where AI can help leverage that output or that inlay of having that information at your fingertips and using that administrative ability to continue to evolve and update it over time.
That collaborative experience that you talked about, I think, is really the heart of it, because benefits there's a lot of people who need to be involved. The insurance company needs to be involved, the brokers, general agents, the employers, certainly the employees, and TPAs, all sorts of different people, and everybody needs to have a view into what's going on with the client, and everyone has a slightly different set of information about that. So the easier we can make it to bring that together, the better. There's, I think, kind of two broad themes, maybe three broad themes of where in any business there's, are you growing? Are you growing as efficiently as you can? And are you providing the best customer service that you can? Not in that order of priority. Which of those three areas are you personally most excited about the impact, the near-term impact that AI can have? And maybe give a couple of examples of your wish list for tools that you could use.
Sure. So I think the biggest opportunity, the two biggest opportunities, are both from an efficiency perspective for the broker and the service team, and also from a customer satisfaction perspective, and they're interrelated, right? So if we first start with the efficiency story, so Michael was talking about figuring out which tasks can be best supplemented with AI. Again, bringing this back to the data piece. I think the biggest impact that AI will have is helping brokers manage all the data they need to wrangle, right? So whether it's telling a more complete story for the employer during the strategy phase of the conversation, or telling a more complete story to the carrier when it comes to having an underwriting or negotiation conversation, or after plans have been placed, knowing that the right plans have been implemented according to requirements, or comparing data from a Ben admin system to the carrier's eligibility record and assisting in an audit. All of those tasks are things that a broker needs to get done, and get done correctly to deliver service. And they all just start with different types of data stored in different ways. And so if AI can help us with either comparison or analysis or understanding of that data, then that helps the brokerage be more efficient. And that also helps the broker be able to spend more time with the customer, having a higher level of conversation and bringing better insights to that customer, which ultimately will result in higher satisfaction because they're not bogged down doing all this data analysis all the time. I don't think AI will be able to replace the years of experience, a broker's years of experience in having worked with thousands of employers and seen many different types of programs, and being able to have that conversation or leverage personal relationships with a carrier to get things done when you need to. But the example that I think of a lot is you all have heard of the doctor who uses AI to assist with a diagnosis, right? Like the doctor still has a job and still has to make a treatment decision and a condition decision and a diagnosis, but they use AI to help them run through an orders of magnitude more data and scenarios than they were able to do so before. It means that they make a better decision in the moment faster, and they have more time to talk to their patient about how to deal with that condition or how to move past that diagnosis, because they had the help of AI in driving to that conclusion faster. And they didn't have to spend all of that time poring over data and figuring out what the actual path forward is. So I feel like that's a good analogy for what we have to do with brokers, because the amount of data just keeps growing, and we have to be able to work with it as efficiently as possible and still make sure to leave time to speak with our customers and show them the attention and the care that they have come to expect.
Greg couldn't have said it better. I'm just going to say that. I mean, and also I would add to it, it's like what he just said is that AI, I think it'll help curate the best experience. And people kind of harp on bots or AI chat or whatever it is, but what that does, it helps triage things. And if people realize like, hey, there could be a question that could be immediately answered, it helps triage it to getting that human touch or that empathy that is needed through that experience. So I think it's more frustrating personally and more in feelings-based analysis if I get on the phone live with someone and I have an issue and that's not the right person to talk to. And they're like, okay, now put me on hold for 20 minutes, go back, come back to me. Well, I wasn't able to get the person that you really needed to talk to, so we're going to put you on hold. AI is going to help us from that experience of curate things and have a better probability of kind of getting you to the right person and triaging that. That's where I see where it's going to be help and reinforce, but also it's going to help us focus on the details. And getting back, not to kind of, lack of a better term, like beat a dead horse, is that what I see on our business is the analysis is getting into the smaller, intricate pieces of inputting from kind of the basics of the blocking and tackling of a plan design, but then using, say, dental insurance, for example, our team, which, as Greg said too, I don't see AI taking jobs away. I see it reinforcing us and helping us up our game even more that we want to, which is going into a dental policy and saying, okay, let's make sure that crown restorations wasn't moved from 5 years to 10 years. Let's make sure that anesthesia wasn't moved to major from basic, to look at all the details so that I never say match current, it's match the intent of the contract, because all contract language is different, but looking in to see that we can match the intent of the contract. Contracts aren't getting watered down. And the client is getting the best experience, and we're solving problems and creating a better experience, not only for the broker consulting partners, but also those carrier partners.
I love what you're talking about with getting into the details. I think most people are familiar with the term vibe coding these days in the age of AI, which is, can a non-technical or a less technical person just kind of ask AI to help build them an app, and can be great for prototyping, it can be great for getting things up and running. But typically, once you want to put that thing into production, you need the real engineering effort to come in and make sure that the fundamentals are strong and there's security built in and it's production ready and built to last. And people talk about vibe coding sometimes a little bit. It's a demonstrative of how quickly people can grow, which is great. But Michael, what you're saying of like, actually AI is going to help you be more in tune with the details, because that's where your expertise matters, is not having that analytics portion take up so much time. It makes it easier for you to notice when, hey, that thing shouldn't have changed from 5 years to 10 years. That actually needs to go back. But you can have tools that are combing the details and surfacing the things for you to look at your guidance, which just makes it a much, much stronger line of defense for your customers.
Yeah, and I mean, AI is always ever evolving, and you're not going to be able to just say, okay, AI, take on the administrative. There's still going to be a QA process around that to make sure the details are correct and aligned, I believe. It's just like if you were writing an email and you just put it in ChatGPT and just said, hey, just rewrite this and proofread it. You're not going to just send that out, because a lot of the time there could be errors or tweaks of what you tried to mean or whatever it is. So there's always going to be a QA analysis for it and ever evolving. And that leads to what I was saying, the curious component of it is being patient around it and understanding where it is now, and make sure you do the right diligence from an IT perspective and that compliance wise and legally and whatnot, but yet also how it evolves and how you can make it a better experience for your clients. Because at the end of the day, that's really what I'm all about, is making sure that we're solving our clients' problems.
One thing that I wanted to just add real quick is that, between Michael and myself and Shannon, I'm sure most of the folks that are listening here, you all know, like, most of the benefits technology that exists out there is either to generate a quote or to help someone enroll in a plan or to generate a payroll deduction, right? very little benefits technology exists today to help a broker or employer truly make sense of all that data in the plan, that can help them make better decisions. And so every employer wants and needs the ability to tell a story with what's going on in their benefits plan, first to make the right decision, but also second to be able to defend that decision to the other leaders at the company when they make their recommendations. And to me, I believe the broker's job here is really to help the employer understand what story that data is telling. And brokers have been able to get there and tell that story, but it's historically taken some time. It's been through, poring over spreadsheets, and with every iteration of the story that you're trying to tell, there is a lot of additional follow-up work that has to be done, and it can add more time. And so I think this right now is our opportunity to create a new chapter of benefits technology that leverages AI, not just to help folks generate a quote or help someone enroll in a plan, but also to really tell that story that the employer needs to understand to make the best decisions for their company.
Let's talk a little tactically, because I know that I'm looking at the audience. We've got people from carriers, from brokers, a couple HR leaders here, from general agents. We've got payroll companies, we've got a huge representation here. And I know this group wants to hear about what's actually real now and what's happening. So I suspect that, like me, you wake up every day with many emails in your inbox that you need to do a little morning triage of. And many of those are asking you to try out a new tool, try out my new AI product, my new AI service. What are the biggest themes of where you're getting pitched at today for AI solutions? And which ones have you been curious to try? You don't have to use names, but kind of which use cases are you looking at?
Man, I want to start this, Greg. Is that all right? All right, cool. I mean, I don't know how you feel, Greg and Shannon, but I actually had this conversation a week ago with some friends, like, oh, what superpower would you have if you were a superhero? Would you fly? Would you do this? Mine would be, can I get more time in the day? I have 24 hours of time. I wish I could just stop time and have more time and be curious and interact with a lot of those inbounds that come in, or looking at all this technology. A lot of the time is that I need to kind of, I don't know, I have to lean on some of the matrix partners or people that I collaborate with, saying, hey, have you tried this? What do you think? What are your thoughts? And also too, is that you can't just take someone else with just one opinion. Like, you got to look at others and talk to 2 or 3 people that have used the product or the service. What do they like about it? What don't they like about it? It's just like when we talk to a client, we want to hear what the client thinks, what's working, what's not working, the broker partner, the carrier partners. Like, I always use this, but there's always 3 sides to a story: yours, mine, and the truth. So it's, how do we get as much information and detail as possible to kind of put the best analysis together, or how we're going to move forward. And when I do have the time and I see demos or have discussions around technology, it's vetting it and seeing, gosh, how are you doing it differently than your competitors? What has worked? What hasn't worked? I like to say, usually when I do something wrong, I want to hold my head higher. And then when I do something right, it's like, okay, keep my head down and go back to work. Because what I like about when I vet technology is that, tell me what you have done that did not work at all and how you've worked on it. Don't just tell me about everything that's great. Like, hey, we tried this didn't work, and this is how we pivoted around it. So I make mistakes every day. And if I can hold my head high and say, hey, here's the mistake I made, or how I would have done it before, but if we can learn from those mistakes and move forward, because not everyone's technology is correct, just like AI, it's always evolving. So how have you evolved it based off the mistakes or the pain points you've made? Because that's going to truly show me, when I vet opportunities, of how hard are you working to actually make it a great product, and not just sit on and rest on your laurels of like, oh, wow, this is great, and just talk about everything that's good about it. And then even though some of it could be kinks and broken, and then if I implement it, it's like, oh gosh, why didn't we talk about that before? because I'm going to spend enough time and be curious around it. And I'm going to know that it was an issue for 6 months or 12 months. So what are you doing to try to solve it? But I'll pause there. That's kind of the vetting of how I do things, and try to get as much time as I can to see technology and resources and lean on my peer group to get their opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I would say any piece of technology that we vet at Benny, the first question we have to ask is, does this present a meaningful enough improvement to either the customer experience or our internal efficiency to spend time vetting it? And I'm very lucky. The team at Benny is very lucky to work. Like, we have an in-house product and engineering team. We have a chief technology officer who helps us to pre-vet a lot of the solutions that are out there. And we've been able to test a number of the Google Gemini powered solutions in a HIPAA secure environment, right? So like that's a tougher thing to achieve when you're getting pitched cold emails by new technology saying, give us all your customer data, we'll show you what it can do. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just hand over all my customer data so that the tool can show me what it can do without doing a full security assessment. And again, we're very lucky in having some of that support internally. So that's at least how we've approached that vetting process up until now. But I will say, like, Shannon, I think your question was like, where are we getting pitched? What are the different things that we're being asked to test out? There's lots of AI agents out there, like tools that are promoting their ability to answer customer questions for you. And that's probably the single, if you had to categorize the different tools, that's usually where I get the most cold emails hitting my inbox. And when I see those, yes, I'll read through them. I'll flip them over to my product and engineering team for a quick sanity check as well. And the main thing that I'm usually looking for is, A, will this save me time? And B, is it reliable and accurate? And taking that a step further, the thing that takes the time is not actually communicating the answer for the customer, right? Because if you're the trusted advisor, you can pick up the phone, you call your customer, you get them the answer they need. If you've got the answer, then that phone call doesn't take that much time. But the true value would be, like, if there's a tool that helps me to get to that answer faster and I still retain control of the delivery and what's actually being said, and I don't have to worry about whether or not a tool is providing the right answer and speaking the way that I would have described that resolution, then that's a win for me. But the reality is, like, I still have seen very few tools out there that can truly deliver on that without, and I'm naturally very skeptical, and anyone in our industry needs to be skeptical of tools that are getting pitched into their inbox because of the sensitivity of the data that we're working with. Like, we just have to be. But that's kind of how I think about evaluating the various tools that are out there.
We've got a question from the audience, which is related to this discussion, which is really, like, there are a lot of tools, there's so many, and we've got a really high burden in our industry for data security, for client trust, and you can't just be putting this stuff into unknown, unvetted tools irresponsibly. So we had a question from the audience, which is about how you think about the early adopter mindset and when to go early adopter versus when, and how to think about being, the more of the wait and see and the, like, that one I'm going to test. I'm going to adapt the question to a little bit of a rapid fire. I'm going to give you some use cases and you tell me, would you go early adopter or wait and see for that particular type of use case? So use case number 1, contract review from last year's plan to next year's plan.
I'd be an early adopter for that, to test that out.
Yeah, I'd be an early adopter. What I'd want to do is I would want to dive into who that team is, where they have past experience, what they've worked on previously, what they learned from their past experiences, and how they've grown to, deliver with that product. And those are some of the things that I'm going to look at and do my research on before I become an early adopter, to know that they have a lot of experience on the back end to be like, oh gosh, okay, let's go with this on an early adoption level.
Okay. How about customer support agent? Answer phone calls from your clients.
Wait and see. Wait and
Yes.
see unless there's a demonstrated way to test the heck out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm a big proponent on like, hey, that's something where you have to have empathy and understanding and really listening. I think there's a big difference between listening and hearing, and it has to be listening to help solve that problem as fast as you can. And if it's something that's new, brand new, is it going to create a lot more friction or create even more escalated frustration? I'm going to have to say not an early adopter, wait and see.
Okay. Building off of that one, frustration, claims disputes resolution. Figuring out what happened, like what went wrong, and trying to come up with a remediation.
Man, Greg, add to what I say here, man. But I think that those are usually some big dollar ticket escalated items. So you're putting a lot of your more experienced to get in there to really diagnose that and see what's going on. I do think potentially an early adopter, if you're trying to like organize what was going on and there's some way to get the information quicker to that seasoned experienced team that buys time back for them, whether it's a half an hour or an hour to get information to know exactly where they need to go to start, figuring this out, where it could be looking in the policy for brief summarization or whatever it is. But I'm kind of leaning more on the wait and see, but I'll stop here, Greg, because I can talk forever.
No, I would agree with that. I would expand upon that, right? Like if the tool can help connect dots in the process of analyzing what has actually happened. So if it helps you take a long list of case notes and claims and claim numbers and everything that you have to look through, and helps an individual see a summarized view of that. And then if that tool also can help tie some of those things to how a plan should operate and what bill codes should have been used and all of that. And if it can help take this dump of information and help point to the connection points between them and draw and look for the patterns and help bridge gaps between all the sources that you have to consider, then that could be a useful tool. But I would not take it as far as trusting the tool with the final resolution, because at the end of the day, that is something that is such a personal decision. Or such a personal recommendation. It impacts someone's life so significantly that you cannot just take the human element out of it. But if it helps a human get to that determination faster, then I'm on board with testing that.
Yeah, Greg, I got to jump back on the box here, man. So you just said something, it's like, the policy numbers, right? Like Greg was getting at, like something that could grab the policy numbers, that could grab all of these things that take a lot of time. And for example, every carrier partner has a different process around that. They may have multiple policy numbers. They may have everything under one policy number. They may have a flow where it needs to go through this intake person, then it gets escalated to this level. So it reminds me of, ACA or Obamacare. I really wish that in the laws, they said everyone needs to call this one word and one word only. Because you look at all these different contracts and everyone calls it a different word, and it means the same thing, even though, it's matching the intent of the contract or whatever it is. So something that could grab a lot of those small details up front and have it, again, like curated to that carrier partner process. Because you've got to look at it at the end of the day too. How are you going to help your carrier partners OpEx at the end of the day to help escalate that and triage it to make it a better experience for everyone, not just the broker, consulting partner. It's got to be about how are we creating efficiencies for the carrier partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One more in the chat here, which is from Jen. She's getting cold emails offering to write all of her prospecting emails. Would you use an AI agent to go out and do some marketing with your clients?
If they're not a customer yet, and you are just trying to cast a wide net and begin telling the story about what service you can provide, I think that's I think that would be okay. I think a lot of there have been times where I've caught myself responding to a cold email, and then mid typing a response, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just responding to a tool. I'm not responding to a person here. And so I've kind of trained myself to view any cold outreach email as one that was probably written by a tool anyway. So to the extent that you can work with a tool to get it written in a way that creates some interest and achieves the goal of getting that second conversation, I don't see an issue with that. And it's I think it would be kind of fun to test the different ways that you could write your emails and see what different outcomes you could get out of that. So I think that one's okay to be an early adopter.
Yeah, I would as well. But what I would want to is instead of cold, like, how do you get it to like simmer a little bit? Meaning like look in the back. How do you get that tool to look in the back of the book to actually do some research on some of those clients to have it pique their interest and grab curiosity? So I always use the example. I had a great teacher in high school where we would be doing independent study, and there would be people that would just run up and ask him a question and say, well, did you look in the back of the book first? So what I'm saying is looking in the back of the book and trying to find that answer. So if there was something that automated and said, hey, I have done some research on your company. I see that you use X for HRIS, you use X for Ben Admin. Is this correct? I'm just using those as simple examples, but there's so much data at our fingertips out there. I mean, people can Google someone's name and most likely find where they live and their address these days. But like, how is AI going to evolve and enhance that so that you can get more information on that potential client or that customer so that it piques their interest and also engages into a conversation a little bit more instead of just hey, you should talk to us because we do X, Y, and Z, and this is great, and this is everything we do. So how do we get AI or a product that looks in the back of the book a little bit more and then goes to the teacher or the, potential customer? Because when I would go look in the back of the book and go to my teacher and say, hey, I tried to find this answer. This is where I looked. I found this and that. And like, it seemed like he wanted to be more engaging with me when he knew that I tried and put effort in rather than just like spreading peanut butter across the whole market and trying to get someone just to bite.
And even that personalization play is it requires a little bit of good taste in it. And I'm thinking of emails I get every single morning, which reference a LinkedIn recommendation I got 15 years ago. And it says, hey, Shannon, I saw you got a great recommendation from this person's name. Do you want to, try my completely unrelated tool? That's always a huge indicator that was it. AI generated, attempted to look in the back of the book, but didn't quite nail it. So it needs a little bit of fine tuning to make that one work really well. But yeah, it's such a powerful thing to bring together, bringing together different contexts. And I think the other theme I'm hearing from both of you is making sure that it's empowering the expertise that we have and is required to make this industry work really well. And it's making it easier for people to understand and contend with the complexity and put that to work for them. It's not trying to abstract. It's not trying to gloss over it. And so that's one of the most powerful things I think we can do. I want to open it up for questions from the audience in just a minute here. So people, please keep dropping questions in either the public chat or the private Q&A, and we'll kind of start to flip over to those. But one thing I want to, just thinking about our audience here today, I know a lot of the people here are champions for change and for technology adoption in their organizations. Those organizations have obligations, they have vetting teams, they have their own decision points around go faster, early adopter versus wait and see. I'd love to hear from the two of you on what you think the risks are of moving too slowly. There's risks to moving too quickly. There's risks to trying something that's not vetted, for sure. There's also risks to going too slow. And I'd love to hear your perspective on that and any advice you have for this group.
I think it's important to just define what types of risks we're talking about here, right? So, for example, if you're talking about the risk of exposing customer or client information and finding out that you've given it to a tool that wasn't worthy of managing it, right? Then it's fine to go. Then there's no risk of going too slow in that type of an environment. But if the risk you're talking about is just business development risk and competitive risk and making sure that your organization stays relevant, I would say at a minimum, every organization that's out there today, whether you're in brokerage or whether you're in any industry, is you need to be investing in education of your employee base to understand what tools are out there that could support the business. So that doesn't necessarily mean diving in head first and building out a huge complicated tool that is powered by AI. Some of these things I think take longer to develop than others. And I think that as long as any company is at least investing in education of its employee base and constant research and curiosity to figure out how those tools can be applied towards the business or towards the problem that you're trying to solve, then I think you are in relatively good shape. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be the outlier of one of your competitors who comes out with a tool that is vastly superior to yours. I'm not going to say that's not a risk that's always out there, but I think the thing that organizations really should be focused on right now is just promoting education and making sure that that the employee base knows the extent and the capabilities of what all the tools can do and maintains the curiosity to figure out how can we apply that to the solution. Because it may be a tomorrow solution, it may be a 1 month from now solution, it may be a 1 year from now solution. But the place that starts is with an educated employee base.
Yeah, go back to what Greg said before, which is like when he's vetting solutions, it's, hey, is this going to buy time back for me? Is it going to create more efficiency, right? So I like to think of like grandma's fridge, right? Don't fix it unless it's broken. This is what I worry about, is that if I don't adopt, with a fast enough pace or time, is that, grandma's fridge is great, but maybe it sucks up a lot more energy and I'm paying a lot more in energy costs. Maybe it doesn't have an ice maker. Maybe grandma has a competitive regionally bridge group that likes margaritas at 4 p.m. and it's scaling in size and she's got to make ice every day. And it's adding more operational cost and time. So therefore, like, that's why you need to look at, that fridge, or you need to look at that new product, because you have to not just look at what, in my opinion, what you need now or at that moment. It's what is in your pro forma or how you're scaling within your P&L to make sure that you're not going to add to inefficient OpEx costs. So start looking and vetting at that. And it doesn't mean maybe it's immediately now, but grandma's bridge group, if it gets up to like 30 players and you got some drinkers in that group, you're going to need a lot of ice for margaritas. So if there's not an ice maker in there, there's not this or that, the other. So you got to make sure that you're not adding to saying, hey, I need 3 more bodies or 4 more bodies to just make ice, when going back to what I said is administrative tasks. So that's where
give me your grandma's number and the invitation to the bridge game. That sounds like a blast. And it's a perfect segue into the last question that I want to ask you, which is what do you think that our industry, and maybe we can go specifically in a couple of different people, what do you think our industry should be preparing for when it comes to broker technology for the next 3 to 5 years? How do they get ahead of the grandma's fridge problem? And let's look at it from the carrier lens and then from the agency lens as well.
I'd say is like, can you say that again, Shannon? Because I don't want to go way.
Yeah, so thinking about where the industry is going the next 3 to 5 years, and specifically where technology is pushing us. Let's start with the carrier audience. Where do you want your carrier partners to be investing? How do you want them to be preparing so that you are both moving forward at the same pace and can really get ahead together?
From a carrier partner perspective in the next 3 to 5 years, I would think that one thing with AI or technology as it innovates is that we're not moving down a road of we're just watering down product more and more and more and then just making, I mean, price is always, it's often, I shouldn't say always, it's often paramount, and pricing, but using AI and technology to get more information to make the right risk-based adjustments, to get competitive rather than continually or looking at watering down the product to create not as good, not as good of experience, because the product gets watered down, that creates customer tension, gets into, you know, more of those escalated claims experiences, yet still offering a very quality industry leading product, yet looking at how you're going to diligently look at that risk and that information to make risk-based adjustments more than, hey, let's create efficiency and be able to just spit out a quote really quickly, where it doesn't look at the fine print, or it's kind of like getting rid of some certain service features or whatnot. I understand business. Every business needs to make their margin and opportunity and scale, and the best way to, they say, you know, revenue cures all, and scaling it and making more efficient operationally, but still making the product very quality and looking to enhance, to actually enhance that product. Because if we water down, like I said, water down the product's going to create back end problems and issues over time. So that's what I hope in the next 3 to 5 years that carrier partners are seriously thinking about as they evolve.
And I would say part of this is selfish, because this is what we're working towards at Benny, but part of this also will just help the whole industry move forward. I want to see carriers, and this also goes for Ben admin systems as well, double down on just interconnectivity and interoperability and access to data, because the more we are able to operate from the same data set and a comprehensive data set across the solution of all of the players that are delivering a solution for an employer, whether that's the Ben admin or the carrier or the broker firm, as long as we're operating from that same data set, and then we're using the AI that's available to help make sense of that data, then we can arrive at better outcomes for employers and members and carriers as well. Anyone who's part of the benefits delivery chain here, to the extent that everyone is operating from the same set of source data about a given population or about a given solution, like, we can all partner to deliver that solution better. So I you know, that I'm aware that answer has two pieces of it, and it requires further testing and advancement of all of the AI that we've talked about to help us make sense of that data. But that also works so much better when all the partners in the industry enable interoperability and access to that data, when it's for the benefit of an employer or a population.
Yeah, Greg, I would add to that too, is what you just said, is like, let's work collaboratively together, not to throw away data.
Right.
I think some carrier partners, right, will be like, oh, I only need this for my eligibility. It's like, well, wait a second. We have all of this information that we have to warehouse. How can we collaboratively make sure we're not throwing away data, so that we can create the best experience for the customer, but also be able to gather data for those risk-based adjustments? I mean, gosh, it doesn't serve me well with little ones at home, because they hardly finish their dinner, and I have a problem with throwing away things. So I'm always kind of feathering in a few chicken nuggets late at night here and there, just because I can't like see myself urge of throwing anything away. So I think that if we can try not to throw that away, try to update it as much as we can, and that's just going to overall create the best experience for all partners to work together.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a really, we had some jokes along the way in this conversation, but I think it's a really powerful place to leave it, because our industry is, health benefits are extremely important for people. It's access to healthcare, it's access to financial systems and financial services, and everyone in this group, in the audience today, has a huge responsibility to making that better. We've got a really powerful opportunity ahead of us with technology at our fingertips, and using that to make the product and the service better, more substantive, and not water it down by being sharper and more precise in where the adjustments are making with better data, and then partnering and being really collaborative in doing that in a quick and safe and responsible and exciting way is what we're all here to do. So thank you very much, Michael and Greg, for joining us today. Thank you to everyone in the audience who joined along, and especially to those who asked questions. We're really excited about this. We're all working on some things in the lab here together, and we're excited to continue to put AI to work on this very important problem. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. We don't take your
Thanks.
time lightly, everyone, for your time. Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
I appreciate it.